Okay, let us get going. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to class number 5. And I think this is really the halfway point of the MBSR program. So there's a couple of things that we'd like to cover, and of course, to give everyone an opportunity to continue to deepen their mindfulness and their practice. All right, if you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up so I know everyone can. The IT is all working good. Okay, wonderful. All right. So yeah, before we um, go any further, yeah, let's just drop in and take a few breaths together. So wherever you are, if you can hear me, settling into this moment, checking in with whatever that's becoming present, whatever that you're registering in your awareness. And so just allowing yourself to be as you are, wherever you are. But refreshing that intention of coming to this class to practice mindfulness and see what happens. Okay, good stuff. So as a continuation of the checking in exercise, just inviting everyone to use their chat function to just type out a few words about how you've been this past week. Bored and depressing, yes. So I say it in a smile, but yeah, I know COVID has been certainly something that everyone has been experiencing, and we'll probably spend some time talking about that later in the class. Much better than last week, settling to the new changes, getting to the routine and feeling enjoying the peace and calm and quietness. Been okay, work's keeping me occupied, but the circuit breaker means I can't see my loved ones. Yeah, pretty decent, a bit hard to find quiet to do the exercises since everyone is at home. Yeah, certainly some challenges. I live in a small apartment, so yeah, I can relate. Yeah, very stressful moments in COVID-19, like the peace and quiet in my neighborhood. Yeah, I live in an estate and it's so quiet right now. I was just wondering whether people are actually still staying here or everyone has moved away. I hardly see anybody. Yeah, yeah, we are all supposed to stay at home. Yes. Yeah, yeah, stressful due to fake news from friends. Yeah, so there's this news, right, that what the police is catching people in the car and then exercising even with your household. 2 or 3% is not allowed, but then the law says otherwise. So there's a lot of confusion going on. Yeah. Okay, so stressful due to fake news from friends. Hmm. So yeah, this past weekend was Easter. Yeah. So special. It's one of solitude and much contemplation. Okay. Good. Thank you for all your comments, and this is a way of acknowledging that this has been your week. So I think today's class we are going to deepen some of the conversations we've had last session at about stressors, and our relationship to it in terms of our reactivity, what comes up for us. And hopefully this is an opportunity for us to continue in our mindfulness practice. And so this is week 5. This is the halfway mark of the program. And we'll have some time of reflection as well to see how things are, and also to refresh the intention for the upcoming weeks. Yeah. Um, yeah, so sorry, just reading a comment. Missing my grandkids. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's drop into a time of practice. Let's go into a period of sitting meditation, and wherever you are, just settling into a comfortable position. And so over time, you'll notice that the instructions will become less and less. And so by all means, please use the silence to practice on your own, to guide your own practice. All right. So taking a firm position on the chair, on the floor, wherever you are, establishing a position that will enable you to be alert, to be awake, and to practice with intention. Yeah. So allowing your lower body to be grounded. If it's helpful, the feet flat on the floor, the hips and the lower back against, if you have a chair backing, allowing the lower back and the spine to rise upright, but in a gentle way, so nothing tight. And maybe taking support from the chair or from the back of the chair, along the spine to the shoulders, allowing your arms and your hands to be comfortable by the side, on your legs, whatever they may be, and the shoulders supporting the neck, the head. And if it's helpful, closing your eyes and seeing what happens as a result of establishing this position. So beyond the physical position, also the mental position, the mental posture of coming into this moment with the right attitude, being open, being present as best as we can to what's arriving. This awareness of non-judgment, of approaching each moment with fresh eyes. And this earnestness of practicing and being with ourselves. And so all these are the mental attitudes, the mental postures that are far more important than the physical posture. Noticing where your mind is, noticing where your body is. And now inviting us to drop our attention onto our breath, anchoring our presence, establishing this awareness with our breath. Reconnecting, listening and observing. It's a very interesting phenomenon of how the breath arrives, how it moves, how it changes, and how it departs. If it's helpful, picking a particular point in your body that features the breath in the most vivid and the clearest way. So be it our nostrils when the air enters the top of our nose, how it goes into our lungs and our chest, or the belly rising and falling with each breath. Just like waves in the seashore, the coming and the going. Just approaching each breath with that earnestness and that wonder of exploring, following our breath intently as best as we can. Listening to the sounds, the volume, and if there's even a pitch of the breath. Or even all the bodily sensations that you associate with the breath. The lightness of it as it approaches, as it touches our own skin. Or this interesting rhythm, this natural rhythm. Of going up and coming down. The movement that you can see within us, also in our minds. Noticing the non-staticness, the aliveness of this present moment. And using the breath as our anchor of our attention. Without controlling or changing the breath in any way. Simply listening, featuring your breath as the center and the anchor of your attention. And perhaps at a point in time, realizing that you're no longer with your breath, without beating yourself up upon that realization and registration that you're no longer pulled away by perhaps a distraction in our minds, a thought going somewhere else, acknowledging that this is what has happened, gently, with intention, escorting your breath or your attention back into your breath. And noticing where your breath is and re-establishing the anchor. One breath at a time, coming and going. If you find your focus has drifted as many times, but just this time, and upon the moment you realizing then that intention of practice, resetting your focus back on your breath, re-anchoring. And this is not about being perfect. This is about being present. This is about noticing what's happening as it is happening. And using this anchor to practice this repetition, building up this muscle of attentional fitness and stability, and certainly agility in coming back each time. Breathing in, knowing that you're breathing in. And when you breathe out, know that you're breathing out. And perhaps even celebrating this phenomenon of breathing. The fact that we're breathing means that there's more right with us than there is wrong. So each breath, each moment, to be alive fully, following the breath, one breath at a time, living our lives with presence, with intention, one breath, one moment at a time. And from the breath as an anchor, letting our attention from this specific point, from this anchor, slowly expand outwards to the boundaries of your body, head to toe, slowly from inside out. Featuring your body, re-establishing your body as the anchor of your practice. Noticing where your lower body is, your legs, your hips, your lower back, your upper body, your arms, your hands, your head. Almost like a short body scan. And now with intention, focusing on the bodily sensations that's arriving in this moment. And from the breath, perhaps noticing that there's also various bodily sensations that you notice. How the body moves, how the muscles are at play, or simply how your body is holding itself in this present moment, taking support perhaps from the chair, perhaps how the sensations of the body being in relation, in contact with the air, with the environment that we're in right now. Listening, turning towards ourselves. Tuning into whatever sensations that's arising with gentleness, with open arms and open hearts, listening, observing. And if for any of us we are not seeing any sensations coming up, that's completely fine. Just acknowledging that this is what you're experiencing right now. And so right now, just being with things as they are, but re-establishing that attentiveness of listening and observing. And being in this current posture, perhaps some itch, some sensations that is growing in intensity, in volume, in location. With care, gradually, if it's possible, working with it, turning towards any of these particular sensations that's arising. And seeing what happens when we turn inwards and towards any of these sensations that's becoming louder in our present moment. So the lower back, perhaps, the weight, the itch on my arms, playing around, exploring this with flexibility, zooming in if it's possible, and zooming out. Seeing what it means to establish presence with sensations as best as we can. And certainly taking care if there's any, this is not an invitation to go into deep pain, but exercising that wisdom, that care, stepping just a little closer or turning towards. And with deliberateness, turning towards something, knowing that you're doing this with consciousness. And turning away, knowing that you're turning away. Exercising this choicefulness that you have, this capacity, moving towards, closing that space, or moving away, opening up that space. Learning about yourself in this way. And from sensations, moving to a different anchor now, this anchor of sound. Letting your attention, becoming aware of where your ears are. And listening to the sound around us. Listening with not only our ears, with our minds and our hearts and our entire physical being. Welcoming whatever sound activity that's arriving. Perhaps the draft, the drumming of the aircon, or even the sound of silence. Listening with intention. You're not trying to catch anything, but simply listening. Listening to this moment. Listening to what's around us. Listening to what's within us. And of course, along this way, in this practice, while we establish our anchor with sound, we find ourselves drifting and moving away to something else, perhaps some mental activity, some thoughts, some distraction. In the same manner, realizing that if you're no longer with your anchor, exercising that choice of yours, exercising that attitude of gentleness, coming back to this practice of listening. Physical sounds, mental sounds, or simply silence. Discovering this experience of listening in this way. Perhaps realizing that there's a lot more sound activity than we realize around us, within us. Noticing the nature of how sound behaves. The pitch, the tone, the volume, the humming. Reminding ourselves this is more of practicing with that sincerity and with this intention of becoming aware in a non-judgmental fashion of what's coming up this present moment as we anchor our focus on sound. And with sound, certainly noticing the stream or the stream of mental activities, the thoughts that arrives and disappears. And now establishing our anchor, our presence with thoughts. The planning, the thinking, or even the judging, the evaluating, the daydreaming, allowing ourselves to observe all the mental activities that we find, that we observe in this present moment. Without fully engaging in all these constructs that we are starting to notice, with that lightness and allowing that space between the mental thoughts and us being aware and observing what's arriving in our heads, in our brains, in our minds. The dialogue, the chatter, or even silence. And perhaps noticing certain constructs, certain thoughts recur, to keep coming back. Just noticing this as a pattern. This is not about trying to control the way you think. This is simply about observing your thoughts. For us, thinking is like drips of water, water just dripping bit by bit. Or for some of us, like a wave coming and going, or even a river flowing through this constant busy stream, like a train. To bring that childlike, as best as we can, establishing this presence with our mind and all the mental activities that's arriving. And so where were we? We were on our minds, on our mental activities. Just taking a couple of moments to re-establish ourselves, sort of resetting, adjusting the posture physically and certainly mentally. And for me, just establishing it, taking a few breaths, just getting back into it, just accepting that this is what's happened, this is what's present. Just acknowledging that these are the thoughts that are here. And along the way, with thoughts, some of us perhaps also noticing now moving into this escape of what we call emotions, feelings, all the different emotional undertones or tones that we are noticing, and seeing what arrives. Joy, anxiety, discomfort, allowing ourselves to feel whatever that we are feeling. Again, with that gentleness, approaching whatever that's arriving. And from feelings, moving into what we call choiceless awareness, the fullness of whatever the present moment presents. Sitting here and simply noticing whatever that is there to be noticed. It could be your breath, your thoughts, sensations, sound, emotional tones, whatever it may be. Taking your place in this sky of awareness. So awareness like the sky, established, non-moving. And all the activities that the present moment brings, like clouds in the air, in the sky, coming and going, or maybe staying for a while. So just noticing, observing whatever that's arriving. This open presence of being with things as they are. Not having to be anywhere to feel a certain way or do things in a particular way, in a manner. Simply being here, fully present, fully being with things as they are. experiencing this stillness with this intention of paying attention to this life of ours, just this moment, one moment at a time. How it arrives, whether it stays, and how it leaves. So whatever you're noticing, whatever you are feeling, whatever you are becoming aware of, with care, with gentleness, allowing, giving yourself this space. And as we come to the end of this practice, bring our attention coming back to our breath, re-establishing this anchor, listening, zooming into our breath. Noticing where our breath is, the nature, the sound, and certainly noticing that this is a new breath, this new moment, never been breathed before. Acknowledging your effort and your intention of being present with your practice, an act of self-care, to learn how to pay attention in this particular way. Okay. Hmm. I apologize. There's something actually wrong with my computer. So someone actually just ended the meeting just now, and I wasn't doing anything with my computer. But that's okay. We will continue with the session. Yeah. So let's. I know we've been sitting for a while, so let's move into some stretching, some yoga, some movement, to get the circulation going, and also. Okay, I'm sorry. Can we just quickly just unmute everybody and let me know who you are, because someone's really playing around with my computer. Someone just muted me as I was speaking. This is quite weird. I just want to make sure I know everybody here.
Do we need to take attendance?
Yeah, let's do attendance. I'll open the poll and then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. I'm. Yeah, they told me. Hey, welcome. How do I address you?
Wai Fong.
Wai Fong.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome to our.
Wai Fong. Yeah.
Wai Fong, welcome to our class.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I'll leave that for now. Okay, let's do some movement. And so again, just reminding everyone, especially for Wai Fong, which class did you complete your MBSR already?
Yes. Completed except for this one.
Oh, for this one, okay.
Yeah.
Great. So just reminding everyone, so in the movement, it's about self-care. So using the movement of the body to practice mindfulness, right? So bring awareness to what's happening in our bodies. So that is our anchor, and we see what comes up. And of course, if there's any mental activities that comes along, some sensations in our bodies, and also even whether it's emotions. And so taking care along the way and seeing what arise and using this moment to moment and to deepen our practice and presence. Okay. Okay, and let's slowly, with intention, right? Just move away the chair if you're seated, or just come slowly and gently into a standing position. Yeah. And I'll be giving less instructions in this practice, so follow along, or you're welcome to adapt that practice. But the the movement physically and certainly to practice. Okay. And if you're not comfortable sitting, that's fine as well. Using that opportunity to adapt and see what happens in your practice. And so let's go into what we call a mountain pose. Just establishing our feet side by side or shoulder width apart, and our arms are freely by the side. Connecting with your breath, with your body. Breathing along, allowing the breath to come and go. And even while we maintain this stationary position, noticing the movement coming in and going, physically and mentally. So from this movement, so slowly opening our palms facing outwards and doing some what we call sun breaths. So breathing in, and then on the next breath, lifting both your hands up vertically by the side towards the ceiling. Breathing in, and when you're ready, breathing out, just lowering your hands. In your own time, doing this again. Working with your breath, cycling through this movement, allowing the breath to guide your hands, moving as one, and seeing what you notice about your body. So the shoulders creaking, or the fact that you have been sitting still for a while. This thing about introducing movement into this current moment. And coming back to mountain pose. And we'll do with one hand now. Or actually, we'll do with both hands. So lifting our hands both up to the side and coming to a T shape. Pointing our fingers away from each other. And flexing your wrists. Pointing your fingers upwards and downwards. And just playing with that wrist movement. Noticing perhaps the weight of the arms in this horizontal position. Noticing your breath, noticing whatever that is there to be noticed in your own experience. And when you're ready, slowly floating your hands down. And we'll do that one arm lift, lowering your hands down, going back into mountain pose. And we'll work with our right hand first. So we're going to lift our right hand through the side of our body. This is going back up. And introducing that stretch, if you like, if that works for you, that movement. So pointing your right hand away from your left hand in the opposite direction. And as you aim a little higher, if that's something that you would like to challenge yourself with care, noticing what happens when you, with that breath in and out, lifting just a little higher. And on the next breath, lowering your right arm. Just establishing mountain pose with just one breath. Reconnecting with yourself. And going the other hand now on your left hand. So moving, lifting your left hand up. Through the side, noticing perhaps the sensations along the side of your body. And if you like, stretching your left hand up and your right hand in the opposite direction, noticing the length of your body as it holds, increasing the length if it works for you. And coming back down. All right, we'll do a forward fold. All right, so but for those with back problems, pay particular attention to this. So the key is that as we bend forward, we want to hinge on our hips. Yeah, and we want to keep our legs straight, but if need be, you can bend your knees a little slightly. And so as you go forward, you want to make sure that your abs is crunched in, so it protects your lower back. Yeah, and if you want to take support, if you have a chair in front of you, so maybe using that to help you guide yourself down. Yeah. So using your breath again, initiating it in or out whenever you're ready, slowly just folding forward down towards, if I look at the side, coming down here, hinging on the hips. And if you are comfortable, allowing your hands to dangle and reaching for your toes. And for those who are, if there's a back problem, so if you are welcome to use the chair, just bend forward and taking support from the chair and feeling perhaps start to see some sensations on your hamstrings, on your hips, and keeping your abs engaged. And this is not about pushing yourself too much, allowing yourself to feel the stretch. And you should start to see more sensations in your body, holding yourself in this position. And when you're ready, slowly coming back up Slowly, slowly maintaining that hinge, engaging your core and your abs to make sure your upper body comes back up. Just catching a few breaths, do some neck rolls. So dropping our right ear to our shoulders and rotating in a clockwise manner in your own time. And switching directions when you're ready. And when you're ready, coming back into a mountain pose. Flapping your fingers, your hands, and your legs, sort of resetting, allowing your body to establish a natural alignment. And when you come back into mountain pose, noticing what your body is doing, noticing what your body is saying. And certainly with all the streams of mental activities and thoughts that's coming through, arriving, welcoming all of them, just acknowledging that this is what's present for you in your experience. Noticing your breath coming and going, even as you maintain this mountain of a pose, this presence, breathing in, knowing that you're breathing into your body, and breathing out, knowing that you're breathing out from your body. Perhaps even enjoying this breath, allowing yourself to breathe. And when you're ready, you can slowly move and make your way back to your chair or your seat. Okay, welcome back everyone. Okay. Just inviting everybody to respond to, let's get the conversations going. So today was a sort of a continuation or progression of the different practices that we've been doing. So the sitting meditation sessions have become longer and perhaps less instructions. So just inviting some comments. How was your experience of today's practice? What was going on in your body? What was going on in your mind? What was going on in your, whether there were any emotions that was coming up? Yeah. So if you can, welcome to come off mute and just share some of the things you observe of your own experience of the practice we just had.
I could go. I actually quite like the experience of the meditation. I felt that there was a change. I felt there was a change in my body sensation when we moved from, I'm not sure what's the right way to phrase it, Hani, but when you asked us to first anchor it, and then after that it was about body sensation, whole body, I felt a difference. during the meditation. In fact, I felt more awakened, more bodily movement, but more awakened, more energetic with that experience. So I quite enjoy it. And I felt the part where he says, okay, now focus on that hearing was interesting, because then I pay attention to some noises around me that I never really quite pay attention to. So I thought it was quite a good experience, the meditation techniques.
Mm. Thank you for sharing. So it's interesting when we start to see things closer, or with that deliberation, we start to see more things. We start to realize there's actually other stuff, there's other information perhaps that we never accounted for. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else? What else did they experience in that practice?
Okay, I can share next. This time, I found the listening very interesting. When you ask us to listen within ourselves and to listen around us. So I found that particularly interesting, because like what was shared earlier, you listen to sounds that you didn't know was in your room. And so when you listen attentively, then you realize, wow, I didn't know there was this sound going on in my room, you know. So that was one thought. But the listening to within, I think that it's a bit more work.
Mm.
I'm not really sure, because listening around is external. So it's what you listen to around you, but the listening within is the internal. And so when you try to listen within, I was trying, well, the mind. So when you listen within, then you have, I guess, feelings and thoughts and emotions and body. So the mind tend to dominate. So that was rather difficult, yeah.
Mm. Okay, okay. So, but I think it's interesting that you notice actually it's very rare. Thoughts are related to sounds, to sensations, to emotions. So they're all intertwined and interconnected. So for example, when Charlene was sharing about noticing the sensations, it led to that awakeness, right? And so that sounds like there's a different experience, but they're all interconnected. And so to your point about listening to sounds, you start to notice mental activities as well. And so there's certainly, the point is that there's a wealth of information, and our experience, our present moment is so rich with different content, and even silence, for example. And so when we start to approach it a little closer, that's when interesting stuff can happen. Yeah, perspectives can shift, and we can explore different ways of relating to the present moment. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Chris. Anybody else would like to go? Or the mental thoughts, what was going on in your mind? What did you notice in your mind?
I think a lot about the people that I don't see, that I don't get to see because of the circuit breaker, and just because I guess that like during the day I'm so busy with work, but then now it's like I realize how much I miss them.
Sounds like there's some emotional tones there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, yeah, I'm grateful for like FaceTime and Skype and technology, but it's not quite, it's not the same.
Okay, thank you for the sharing. Okay, we're gonna begin to what's coming up for me is last week towards the end of the class we had a conversation about COVID and the things that were changing, and I think we're in week 2, right, of circuit breaker. And one of the homework assignments was about noticing that stress reactivity as it was happening. And I'm also mindful that this is in light of the COVID context. So I'm going to break you all up into small groups first to share about how that home assignment has been. What did you notice in perhaps your sensations in your body, the mental thoughts, and certainly the emotions that came up in that experience. Okay, and then I'll get your back. I'll drop into small groups as well, but after a while, I think about 5 to 8 minutes, I'll get your back into large group. Okay, let me just quickly set this. Okay.
Can you hear me, Sakha? I think Sandra is not able to hear us.
Yeah, I just saw her message. Yeah, her microphone doesn't work, but she can hear you guys.
But I think Sakha is having some issue. Oh, okay, she's back.
She's back on. Okay.
Yeah, but it's unstable. It's unstable. I keep I can't really hear properly.
I suggest you switch off your video.
Switch off my video, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe that might help because then
Okay.
try that. We see how
And
that
I
works.
got to re-log in. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it
Oh,
clear?
okay.
I think it's clearer now. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So we go without video.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So stressful events. I think I can share my reflection for the week. I think what stood out for me was the body sensation. I've been having quite a lot of aches at the lower back. Yeah, I think that prompted me to think a little bit, was there a particular event that happened that was very stressed? I think, then I noted that on just this Monday, there was quite an intense meeting that I was having, and then it was back to back. So I think that it kind of connected to the aches that I had on my body. Yeah, so think the body sensation was very significant for me, that came out during the whole reflection.
Yeah, yeah.
Pei, did you notice what happened when you notice the body aches?
I think when I noticed the body aches, I mean now I wasn't conscious, but if you were to ask me now, then as I reflect, I think I could feel also the sense of irritation. Yeah, because it was uncomfortable, and then and I think it doesn't help when now that we are all at home, and then you were just thinking, what can I do with this aches and feeling of irritation. Yeah, so I think that's when I was doing the journaling, then I started thinking what was so stressful that that caused the aches, and then the sense of like heaviness and irritation. Yeah, so I guess that kind of also trigger my thinking about, was there something that was particularly so stressful for me that that few moments.
It sounds like there's that pause into perhaps trying to inquire a bit more into what has happened.
Yeah. And whether I could kind of like do something to kind of reduce the stress. Because I think now I'm more, also maybe I kind of appreciate the whole idea that everything is interconnected. So if I were to feel the aches, that must be something, like, is it because I'm working from home the whole day and having back-to-back meetings, that's why I'm feeling the discomfort. So I will kind of reflect about, was there something that happened. Yeah. And I think the exercise kind of then link it and allow me to focus on reflecting on a stressful event, because it was about a stressful event. So I think it kind of like everything just connect itself.
Okay. So it's almost like a chain reaction, right? A ripple effect. So when there's a trigger, there's a stressor, and then boom, you got body ache, then everything. There are a lot of different things that happens.
Yeah, correct. But I think what I noticed was that the chain reaction was only conscious after I could feel the body sensation. Yeah. Because I think I didn't feel that I was stressed until it reaches a point that I could feel the discomfort on my body. Then I started reflecting back and kind of like working backwards to look at the whole chain reaction. So I thought that was quite interesting.
And so that will take time, right? So I mean, but with that awareness, perhaps there could be, you can start to explore about different ways or how you can better respond, and to really, at the end of the day, how you can take better care of yourself.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, good stuff. Sokhi, are you still there? I'm going to hop off to another room.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll let you guys talk a bit more. I'll jump onto another room.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit.
Just keep praying for her. So I began to pray for her. I was crying much of the morning, so I was praying for her. But I also shared this with my siblings. We are very close. And so they're all praying for her. So I sent a text to the husband and sent a prayer to him. And he responded. So I ask, how is she now? The next few days is very critical. And because she's a cancer patient, So she came into Singapore for treatment, and she, in fact, when she was having surgery here in Singapore, she stayed with us with her husband. So then I, so.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Finish sharing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll pop into another room. I'll see you guys in a bit.
Oh, it's somebody else,
Yeah.
that it's happening to one of your friends. Yeah.
Well, hopefully she makes it.
I pray hard that she will make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we both shared, so maybe we can have the last participant share as well.
Is there a last participant?
Oh, there's a horse, right?
I can't find anybody, so I don't know.
Oh,
I'm so
okay.
sorry.
There is
There
one.
is.
Yeah. There's
Oh,
one
I'm
Honey
more.
so
can
sorry.
join us, but we have one more. But are you able to
Sorry.
mute, or maybe there isn't? Do you have a speaker on your
Sorry,
laptop?
because I only saw 2 persons. I wasn't sure who was there. Okay.
Honey, is Hall communicating with you, because it's on mute, and
Yeah. Let me
we
try to
do not
unmute him.
know.
See whether
Yeah.
I can unmute him. He doesn't want to.
Because it could be that maybe the laptop has no speaker and camera, right?
The iPad.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, don't know.
Okay, maybe he stepped away for a while.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. Just hang tight. I'm gonna drop into another room quickly, and then I'll come back. I'll bring you guys in shortly.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Hi, how are you guys doing?
hi. I think we went one round already.
Oh, went one round already.
One of us had a
Yeah.
chance to talk already.
Had a chance to talk. Okay, talk about what do y'all talk about?
Coping. Yeah. Coping with the situation, how each of us have our own challenges, and how we are trying to cope.
I mean, it's definitely challenging times for everybody. And I mean, is this COVID related or just in general?
Yeah, COVID related, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Is Jingo, did he speak? Was he?
Yes, he
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
he did.
Can you hear me? Okay. Let me.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Hi, how are you?
Okay, so lah.
Okay. All right, I'm going to bring people back shortly. Okay, I'll see you guys back. Hi.
Honey?
Yeah.
Is the retreat just postponed until after this whole thing is over, or? Because-
Did they send you any communication about that? So it is going to go on as planned, as far as I know. So it's just stay at home, yeah. So but we'll modify some of the practices and some of the program to cater to the fact that it's going to be virtual.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's next Sunday actually. I'll talk more about that later on.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, where is everybody? Oh, okay, everyone's back. Okay, welcome back. Let me. Okay, stress reactivity. So I went through the different rooms, and sounds like, I mean, it's certainly been so. It's not deliberate to get people to get stressed and go after stress source. But I think recognition that stress is actually part of our everyday life, right? So, and this being mindfulness-based stress reduction. So I think it's important to feature that as a point of practice, and we use that to learn the things that we want to learn. So just inviting to everyone, large group sharing. So your contributions are going to be very valuable to not only extend your own learning, but also to facilitate other people's experiences as well. So I just want to invite anyone who wants to talk about their stress reactivity, their reactivity. So when they put it under attention, when they were under stress, what did they notice? What were some of the challenges, or what did they discover about their experiences? Yeah, or even just what was their experience of that event. So you can go ahead and unmute yourself and talk.
I think for me, when I applied attention to when I to stresses and I could feel myself getting stressed, something I realized is that I can articulate why I'm getting stressed pretty well, and that I'm very aware of. When I think about it, it comes to me quite easily, but it doesn't really, that doesn't really make me feel better about it. It's like I know why I'm feeling this way, but I don't feel better about it. So I guess like awareness is one thing, but changing perceptions is another.
Mm.
And I don't know how to do the second one yet. So even though I'm very aware of why I'm anxious, it doesn't decrease the anxiety. Yeah.
Okay. Can you say more about what was going on in your body, for example, when you know that you're under stress?
My stomach churns. My mind starts racing. When it's really, really bad, and it wasn't this week, but when it's pretty bad, like I get tingle, I get it feels like there are ants crawling across my face and down my neck. I dry heave. My fingers get very tingly. Yeah.
And so when there is a stressor, how do you react to it?
I try to articulate. So I write down why it's stressing me out. So I know exactly what it is, because the process of writing helps me. I guess, put it down to words, and instead of my mind just freewheeling, it's there on a page, and okay, this is why I'm stressed out. And sometimes it helps. Sometimes after that, I calm down a bit. But if it's quite a big stressor, then it doesn't go away. And what happens is I notice that I tell myself, hey, just calm down, just focus on what you can do. But my mind will keep running and overthinking and spiraling, and that's when the stomach churning kicks in, and yeah.
Okay.
And it
So
gets
okay. You mentioned just now about when you bring awareness, but the awareness doesn't seem to make the things better.
Yeah. Yep.
Can you say more about that line of thought?
No, it's just I'm aware of why I'm stressed. I'm aware that my body is reacting to it. It's starting to react to it. I am aware about the reasons why this is a stressor. And but it doesn't, but I mean, for me, like being aware of it doesn't change my perception of it. It's still a thing that stresses me out. And I don't know how to make it better. I don't know how to make it go away. And that's why I guess I don't feel better. It's like self-awareness is half the battle, but it's not really the half that counts.
So it's almost like the awareness has not made a difference.
No.
Okay. And how does that make you feel?
I mean, probably, I guess good and bad, because one is, I mean, okay, at least I know why I'm stressed. But on the other hand, it's like I know exactly why I'm stressed, and that just makes me, and it can make things worse sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of our stress in the tradition of MBSR, sometimes we use the word suffering. And this thing about we feel stress when we suffer, and suffering is about, at a very basic level, it's about wanting things to be different or wanting things to be the same. Okay, so for example, I mean, the analogy of being on the MRT train, or I mean, even in COVID situation now, we want things to be different. We want the circuit breaker to be lifted, right? Or we want, if things are going well, we want it to go on forever. And so there's this constant wanting things to be either different or the same. But consequently, what we have to realize is that we actually have no control over a lot of these external stressors. And so I wonder, so the fact that, okay, we have taught people about awareness. And so with awareness, how does that affect your wanting the stress to go away?
I guess with awareness, it just makes me want it to go away even more.
And so it's almost a loop back. So what is the effect of that wanting more on the level of stress?
I mean, it's positive feedback. It just makes it worse. Right? Like wanting something to go away more just makes you suffering more, because you're just even more aware of the fact that it's not going away.
So what does that mean?
What do you mean?
So we know that now that we introduce awareness, and then there's the desire to want the stress to go away, but it doesn't go away. So it adds to that stress, right? So in order to break that loop,
I mean, you have to just stop. Then you have to do something about the wanting, right? Maybe just resigning yourself to the fact that it's not going to go away. But that, but I mean, people have advised me about that before. Just like, just accept that this is how it is. And once you accept it, you feel better. Which I guess is true, but it's also, I mean, it doesn't sit well with me. It's just, yeah. I guess it's a lot of anger on my part, that like, why is this the way things have to be? Yeah. Mm.
But this is for everybody. I mean, we all experience stress. It's all part of our everyday lives, and we all suffer. And we also, I mean, we're all human beings, and so there's nothing wrong with us wanting things to be different. But we also have to acknowledge that this wanting has a effect on us, and that wanting comes from ourselves. And so there is a certain level of control about, at the end of the day, how we relate to ourselves. But that comes with perspective, right? So, I mean, the invitation to you, and I suppose to a lot of us here, is that, I mean, slowly turning towards the things that are unpleasant externally, and I mean, even internally, because right now the struggle seems to be quite internal. Accepting that this is who you are, and we see what are some of other possibilities. So someone was asking me, someone just asked me a question. So I'm going to draw this. I'm going to try to, so there's sort of a review of, can you see my whiteboard?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So last week, let me try to get this going. So this is the S, right? So this is for, so, right. So even from the chat about this past week, so a couple of things that, like the fact that we can't see our loved ones, it is boring, for example, that, and some of them are external stressors, they can also be internal stressors. And then that leads to a reaction, right? And so in the context of this is reaction, right? So I think Penny was, do you mind if I mention about your sharing in a small group just now?
Okay.
Yeah. So essentially, so what is happening now is that whenever there's stressors, and even for Gem also, the fact that everything happens very quickly, it's an automatic reaction. So before I even know it, I mean, my stomach is churning, I'm sweating, I'm angry, I'm emotional, my heart rate has gone up, and there's this whole chain effect of physical and even emotional and mental reactions. Yeah. So the idea is this, so we slowly move this into, so the question is, okay, with awareness, so I should draw the A first. All right, so the problem is this thing jumps into here so quickly, right? So you don't have a chance to even do anything. So the idea is to introduce, with awareness, you can insert, sort of break that circuit. Okay, and with awareness, you start to see things differently. You start to see more things. So for example, just now during the practice, you start to recognize, I mean, in that practice, so we heard more sounds, for example. But if it's a problem, for example, or if it's something that is unpleasant, we start to realize that our view of the situation is not the only view of the situation. And so when we concede or realize that there are other ways to see the situation, that comes from first awareness, right? And with that awareness, it breeds into insight, and with insight, you can then decide what is a response. So I'll share with you my own story. The first week for circuit breaker, yeah, was difficult. I have 2 kids. My apartment is small, and it was difficult, right? And it was just unpleasant. Week 2, I could have continued in that chain reaction, right? But I realized, I brought awareness to the, perhaps I started asking myself what is really stressing me out, and my reaction, for example, is to get more short-tempered. Yeah. And when I realize that I'm doing that, I'm getting short-tempered at things that are really, I mean, it's quite trivial. And when I bring awareness to that, I realize, you know what, I mean, my kids, for example, they are also having a hard time in this situation, right? So they're restless. They've been cooped up at home. For an adult, maybe we can cope better, but for 2 young kids, it's tough, right? So, but that realization only came about when I realized that, you know what, I'm getting very quick-tempered this last week. And so this week, okay, when I realized it, okay, I asked myself, you know, they're restless. Maybe I'll take them for a walk quickly, right, downstairs, upstairs. But my perspective of the situation changed. And because my perspective shifted, and it was brought by awareness of my own reactions in the first place, I respond to the situation better. So now, instead of just raising my voice, I explain to my kids, for example, I need to work in the morning. I have a few calls. What can we do? Can we set things up so that I have this time? A bit of contracting with kids to adults, right? And it's working out. And I mean, it's a way for me to learn how to talk to my kids better, right? And it's a way to see this as an opportunity to develop better and closer relationships with our family members. And so that has happened by that breaking that loop. Now, it happened just this past week, but okay, I mean, what we have to be mindful of then is that we don't want to go away with that. Oh, okay, now with awareness, suddenly I'm immediately able to shift from reaction to response. And then if I don't get a better response, guess what? That thought process in itself becomes an internal stressor. And so we moment to moment, we bring that with awareness, right? So I realized that, you know what, awareness is not an elixir. It's not going to solve anything. And over time, I am cultivating that capacity to see things. And I'm starting to become aware also, for example, that my expectations of awareness in itself is also causing me stress. And so you drop deeper, your awareness is actually, it's gone deeper to how you are taking on that understanding of what it is. So I want to check in with Sandra, who asked me that question, and also with Jem and anybody else. Any comments about this, this point? Today's class is the pivotal, right? 4 and 5. And today is really about what we mean by interruption and intervention. So I think the main thing is about interruption first. So we become aware of our physical reactions, for example, and it happens very quickly. But the moment we realize it, that reaction, we offer that space, but that will take time to cultivate. And what the correct response is, there's no set answer. And that's for you to exercise your own wisdom, to take a step back, for example, to rest, to be kind to yourself, or to do what's important for you. Sandra, Jem, anybody, any comments or questions?
I think I definitely had expectations of awareness now that you pointed out. Okay, so now that I know this, what now what? Like be kind to myself. What does it mean?
What would someone, if your best friend is undergoing this, having this same experience, what would you say to encourage her?
Take it easy.
Anything else?
Do what you can. Yes.
How would that make you feel if you told yourself that?
Mm, I guess, to be honest, not much better, because people have told me that before.
Okay.
And I have also told friends, like, be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself, but I don't know what that means for me.
Let's just drop into silence for a bit. So, I mean, for Jem and the others, I mean, listening to the conversations and the dialogue, understanding that a lot of us came into MBSR hoping for things to be different, things to be better. This thing about wanting to do things, to find a solution, to fix things. And what we're actually asking everyone is to practice being and non-doing. And so the wanting, the expectations, and even the judging, and that's all part of our experiences, all the mental activities, the reactions. And so wherever you are now, whatever you're experiencing, just inviting all of us to to open our hearts and our hands and hold whatever we are experiencing with awareness. That wanting to fix things, bring that feature that as in your hands and bring awareness to it. What is it like? With that gentleness to want to fix things, to want things to be different. So John Kabat-Zinn talks about what do we do when we ask about what do we do when we are judging ourselves? When we are asked to then not judge ourselves. And when we try to stop the judging, does it work? In fact, it gets worse. So bringing that judging into awareness in a non-judging way. To all the stress, all the suffering. Bring it into awareness as best as you can without changing anything. And slowly turning towards what is. And so wherever you are, whatever your experience is showing up, whatever you're experiencing now, practicing this. And this thing about kindness, drawing upon different capacities that we have in the past received kindness, and we have been kind to other people. And seeding perhaps this seed of growth. There are no quick fixes. But stepping into this journey of exploration, of non-doing and non-judgment of what your experience is. And the courage and the choice that you're making to continue in this journey is an act of kindness towards yourself. Okay. Let us continue. Chris, you had a comment just now? Sorry, you have to unmute yourself. Let me help you. Okay, go ahead.
I wanted you to explain what you mean by interruption, because you have not used the word until much later in your session.
Mm. So
In your
can you see my
discourse.
diagram?
Yeah, I just want to see whether or not my understanding, maybe if I explain it and it sees whether I understood what you meant, is that when there is a stressor, then very often the reaction is automatic.
Yes.
So you want to break the automatic reaction. So the breaking is the interruption.
That's right.
You want to interrupt because you're not used the word at all to the very end. So is that what you mean?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, then I have a sentence that you said, and I think it's not easy. Bringing judging into awareness in a non-judging way. Maybe you can give an example of that.
So when we judge ourselves, oh honey, I'm doing such a terrible job, I'm not doing this well. Are these mental activities, are these thoughts?
Yes.
So for example, in the practice just now, in the sitting meditation, so when we talk about, okay, featuring mental thoughts as the anchor. So if I'm starting to judge myself, oh, I'm not being able to do this well, I cannot focus, I keep falling asleep, this is bad. That's mental activities, right? So the invitation is to just not do anything but bring those activities into awareness and noticing that this is what's happening for me in this present moment.
Okay.
Does that clarify?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. Okay.
So a lot of mental activities are actually self-talk, about inner dialogue, right? What we actually say to ourselves, and a lot of it is unconscious, actually. Yeah, and I mean, it's a very common saying that we are our worst enemies, right? So when it'll be interesting to see when we start to pay attention, right? We start to realize, for example, that we are quite critical of ourselves. And so when we bring that critical talk into awareness in a non-judging way, without trying to change it, to suppress it, or to eliminate it, just bringing that into awareness, to notice, to observe all the stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
And then we see what happens.
And so if I could give an example, like your sitting meditation is for me really long. Almost 15 minutes to, I had great difficulty with that. It was okay the first 20, 30 minutes, and then it became very difficult for me. So, and of course, the wandering mind, is that you could be critical and judge, oh, why am I having all these thoughts? But to know that, I don't know, in this wandering mind and this thoughts that are always coming to you, and you're trying to, like, bring yourself back and centering yourself. That's natural, right? It happens to even the most seasoned person that does meditation. Or is it just the novices like us?
So is there such a thing as a perfect meditator?
No, I just thought about experience.
So every moment we're a rookie, right? That's what we're training to be. Every moment we learn to approach whatever we are doing for the first time. And if we do it wrong,
It's okay.
it's okay. I mean, it's how we respond to it that matters.
Yeah.
So I could say that, yeah, you know, I was quite bad in my delivery just now. Oh, I mean, I'm going to, sorry. It's like, I don't know whether it's got to do with Zoom, but someone's trying to take control of my computer.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Someone was playing around with my cursor. This is very weird. So yeah, I'm very distracted. So, but I recognize I'm distracted. So the idea is that with mindfulness, the other thing that we also, one of the benefits is that when we get distracted, our ability to reset and refocus becomes stronger. So we cannot, so for example, if we get angry, that's fine, we get angry, but our ability to put out the fire becomes more effective. And I mean, to put it simply, sometimes the approach is about actually approaching the fire versus running away from the fire, pushing, suppressing it, throwing it away. Denial that I'm angry, for example, but the fact is that I'm angry, I'm disappointed, I'm hurt. I don't want to talk about it. But I carry that emotion inside me and I refuse to acknowledge it. But it's there over the years and it accumulates, it's eating at us. And so with mindfulness, we slowly open our hearts and we bring that into the light. And we see what happens. So Sandra had a question about, yeah, especially for anger management. So one of the things that happens when we are able to, so this thing about the breath, right? So we focus on our breath, on our anchor, whatever it is. If the moment we move away, we find ourselves distracted, we come back. Right? So anger could be a distraction and we want to live in it. It pulls us away, it sucks us in. And it's almost, we're also addicted to it because this is something that has happened over time. And so over time, then we have to slowly rewire new habits that, okay, when the moment for example, the moment I'm angry, you know, okay, I choose to stay in the anger or I choose to bring my focus back to my breath. And I get angry again. In fact, I get even angrier and I keep doing it. One moment at a time. And all the work that you're putting in class, the practice, and over the 8 weeks, that repetition builds your muscle. It changes your physical brain so that you don't you're less likely, you're less prone to overreactions. And there's all the evidence in the world that the physical part of the brain that's responsible for overreactions will actually become less sensitive. So there is a physical change, that neuroplasticity that's actually happening in your brain to help you cope and manage the anger. And likewise for the self-critic as well. Okay. Anyone else? Any other comments about the home assignment or any about the comments that has been made in the class so far? Okay. So someone was asking me about the notes. Is this the S and the A and the R notes and the appraisal and all that? I just want to make sure I can certainly. I don't think it was in the handout that was shared with you all. So I'll make sure I get the correct version to you all this week. Okay. Okay. one more thing. So this is really the halfway mark of the class. This is lesson number 5. And so as part of the tradition, I think it's also important to check in with everyone and also for yourself to refresh the intention that brought you to MBSR, to check in on your learnings, your challenges that you have faced, and also being mindful that the journey of MBSR is not necessarily linear. It's not always going down or going up, and it's going to be twists and turns, right? So we also want to acknowledge that as well. So I'm going to give you some time to do a short reflection, a writing reflection exercise. Let me put the questions here. Okay, can you see in the chat function, there's 4 questions. Yeah, and so I just want to invite everyone to spend some time. So we have about 10 to 15 minutes. So this is an individual exercise, so you can only, so using this time to just write in response to the questions. And the idea is to just keep writing. So it's not about a composition, you're not going to be graded, but simply giving you the opportunity to respond to any of these 4 questions. You can respond to one or all 4, completely up to you. Yeah, and so this is a time for you to process some of this, because we've traveled a little bit, but we want to acknowledge your experience so far. So just write it in the chat and then just send it back to me. And that would be great. Any questions? So the first question is, what brought you to MBSR? How has the journey been so far this past 5 weeks? What has been useful? What has been a struggle? What has been pleasant? What has been unpleasant? And if you prefer, actually, recognizing that some of us, typing might be a problem, maybe on mobile phones. If you want to voice record, that's completely fine as well. And then you can send the voice, the MP3 audio file to me via email. That would be fine as well. And again, it's not graded. It's not, just want to have a chance to connect with everybody here and acknowledge the work that has been put in so far. Okay, if you're finished, can you just maybe give me a thumbs up so I can... Okay, thank you, thank you. But yeah, if you want to, please continue writing. Okay, let's... yeah, if you want to continue writing, please continue to do so. A couple of things I would... Sorry? Okay, a couple of things I would like to talk about before we wrap up for today. I just shared my email with everyone. I did it the first time, the first class, and I am doing this again. And this is an opportunity if you'd like to connect, because this is the halfway point. I'd love to have that time to check in with you for maybe 20 minutes if you want. I can call you or we can set up a time for a one-to-one, a short one. This is not the usual, but I think because our cohort is quite different in that we started as a face-to-face program, and as a class, we have actually gone through quite a lot of changes, not only transiting from a face-to-face to a virtual, and also then in light of the COVID situation bearing on us, full steam ahead. So yeah, let me know. So email me if you would like to have that conversation. I'm happy to do so as well. Okay, let me quickly talk about the home assignments. And then I want to do a short practice. Can you all see my screen? So the home assignment for this coming week, let me see over here. So it's quite similar to last week. So alternating 45 minutes of sitting meditation. And then the next day you do either you do standing yoga, and then the third day you do sitting meditation again, and then the fourth day you alternate back to body scan. Okay, all the practices are 45 minutes long now. And then the second home assignment is similar as last week, right? So bringing so the focus now becomes more of how do we bring mindfulness to our everyday lives. And I think that's some of the comments that came up as well. So we want to frame the sessions into practical stuff. Yeah. So when you're feeling that stress, that reactivity, bring awareness to it and see whether in seeing the situation with awareness, does a new reframe, does a new perspective come up? When a new perspective comes up, is there another way to respond to the situation? All right, so that's the second homework. And then the third homework is filling out the difficult communications calendar. So let me quickly show it here. So it's very similar to the pleasant and unpleasant activities calendar. So every day to capture instance, an encounter where the communication was difficult with someone else. All right, and so the intent is really for you to bring that awareness into the your experience as it is unfolding. Okay, so like when you get angry, you know that you're getting angry. So just bring awareness to that, capturing that moment for the next week. Okay, so yeah, any questions about the home assignments? This will be emailed to you, and yes, I will get the other assignment, the handout on the stress to you as well. Okay, let me see the chat. Anything? Yeah. Okay. So I'll make sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'll make sure. I will get the handout to you. Okay. Before we wrap up, let's do a short practice. So if it's comfortable for you, closing your eyes. And I just want to acknowledge and appreciate all of you for being here. I mean, from the comments, from your reflections, there has been ups and downs. And I think that's very humbling to see and to acknowledge that you all have made the point and the effort to be here. And I think the fact that you're here is an act of care towards yourself. And this week, this period, in fact, has been challenging for a lot of us with COVID and whatnot. And sometimes we find that things are out of our control, and yet we are affected by it. And sometimes we almost feel helpless. And so just acknowledging again, the fact that you're here, you're exercising that sense of control. And if it's nothing else, the control of your attention, the control of your focus. And what you focus on determines your reality. So inviting all of us to renew our presence, our commitment, and our intention towards the second half of this program. As we explore, as we drop in deeper into ourselves and realizing that we have a lot more capacity and ability than we realize in coping, finding well-being, peace, and just simply being well. This is what the MBSR journey is. It can be tough, it can get tougher, but let us be with things as they are and enjoy the fact that we are alive and we can be present. And I'm going to read a short mantra to you on compassion. And as I read this, as I share this with you, I just invite you to allow the words to sink, not just in mind, but in hearts. This is a mantra by Kristen Neff, someone who has done a lot of research in compassion. This is a moment of suffering. So I think it's important that we recognize that we are stressed. There are stressors all around us and we suffer. Suffering is part of life. We're all interconnected in this way. May we be kind to ourselves in this present moment. May we be kind to ourselves in this present moment. May we give ourselves the compassion we need. May we give ourselves the compassion we need to discover peace, meaning, and well-being. So may you all be safe. May you all be well. Okay. Thank you very much for your session today. I'll be sticking around, so if you want to chat a little bit, that's completely fine. And if you'd like to connect with me one-on-one, please drop me an email. I'll be happy to do so. Okay. Oh, one other point to make. So someone asked about the silent retreat, which is after actually next Sunday. So as far as on the plan, it is going to happen. So we're gonna do it virtually. We're gonna alter some of the activities, but it will still be running next Sunday. Okay, so please keep your schedule blocked for that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome. Good night.